Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a story you might think you already know. We're looking way past the highlight reels, past the shiny trophies, to explore a genuinely fascinating case study in pure human resilience, Neymar Jr.
Okay, let's dive into this. There are really two completely different sides to superstardom. From the outside looking in, man, it looks effortless. It looks glamorous. We see the dazzling footwork, those spectacular goals, the heavy hardware. But right behind all that glamour, there's this incredibly heavy anchor of deep struggles, relentless criticism, and just heartbreaking setbacks. It's like a giant iceberg. The surface is dazzling, right? But the mass underneath, the intense, grinding adversity he had to conquer literally just to stay afloat, is absolutely massive.
So, to truly understand that adversity, we actually have to go back to exactly where he started. Born in 1992 in Mogi das Cruzes, Brazil, Neymar grew up in a really humble family. There were absolutely no silver spoons here. Just a kid training on simple, rough pitches, literally dodging rocks as much as he was dodging defenders. But his dad, a former footballer himself, saw that raw talent super early on and fully backed his son's dream, even when money was incredibly tight. Neymar just had to outwork everyone around him to get noticed. And, well, noticed he was. He made his professional debut at Santos FC, and his incredible dribbling basically instantly turned him into a star, complete with some truly wild early haircuts, by the way. But that relentless early grind, that set the stage for a massive leap in 2013, when he fulfilled a lifelong dream by joining the European giants, FC Barcelona.
And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute peak of his early career. At Barca, he didn't just join a new team. No, he became one-third of arguably the most famous attacking trio in football history, linking up with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. Together, they just swept up numerous domestic trophies and ultimately secured the absolute pinnacle of European club football, the UEFA Champions League. He was exactly where he had dreamed he would be, fully establishing his immense, undeniable talent on the global stage.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because, often it's right after you reach the very top of the mountain that the fiercest storms hit. Enter 2017. This was a pivotal year that completely altered the trajectory of his life. This single year marked his world record transfer to Paris Saint-Germain. And guys, this wasn't just a change of scenery or putting on a new jersey. It was a massive, seismic shift in expectations. He went from being this crucial, celebrated piece of a legendary machine at Barcelona to being the undeniable focal point, a franchise player carrying a price tag so astronomical it could probably fund a small island nation.
The crucible of that PSG era brought a seriously crushing weight. He was tasked with stepping completely out of Messi's shadow to unilaterally become the best player in the world. But reality had a much harsher plan. Instead of this smooth, easy ascent to the top, his time there was just completely marred by a severe physical toll. He faced repeated injuries that agonizingly kept him out of the absolute most crucial matches for his club. And just imagine the psychological toll of that cycle for a second. Every single time he recovered and finally got back on the pitch, he basically had to prove himself all over again from square one. He wasn't just fighting the opposing team, he was fighting his own body.
Now, what's really interesting about this dynamic is how it neutrally breaks down the dual reality he was living in. On one hand, he's navigating this absolutely relentless external noise. His attitude was constantly being questioned by the public, he faced really intense accusations of diving, and the media? They frequently obsessed over his lifestyle off the pitch, way more than his actual football on it. But, despite that deafening roar of criticism, whenever he was fit, his work ethic on the pitch remained completely unwavering. He consistently performed at the absolute highest level. He essentially just let his resilience do the talking.
But perhaps the heaviest burden of all wasn't actually club football. It was carrying the hopes of an entire nation. The Brazilian national team represents an emotional weight that honestly very few athletes on earth can even comprehend. The 2014 FIFA World Cup was hosted right there in his home country. The script was perfectly written for him to be the hero, right? But then came a deeply heartbreaking moment. A serious back injury didn't just end his tournament, it literally shattered a nation's dream. Obviously, the physical pain was severe, but being sidelined while your entire country is relying on you, watching your team suffer from a hospital bed, that is a uniquely devastating kind of experience.
Yet, here's the thing. The defining trait of Neymar's story isn't that defeat. It's his sheer willpower to bounce back. He didn't just walk away when things got emotionally grueling on the international stage. He continued to represent Brazil with immense pride. And that perseverance, it paid off in a huge way. He pushed right through those painful previous defeats to achieve historic redemption, ultimately helping Brazil to the 2016 Olympic gold medal, which was a massive, long-awaited achievement for the country. Plus, he later earned Copa America runner-up medals. It's just a powerful testament to showing up again and again, no matter how much your previous failures hurt.
I want to pause here for a second and just ask, does fame actually protect you from pain? It is so incredibly easy to look at a global superstar, a multimillionaire athlete, and just assume their life is this fortress against suffering. But Neymar's highly specific football struggles map directly onto the universal human experience. Fame, immense talent, money. They don't act as magical shields against intense pressure or disappointment or physical and emotional pain. We all face setbacks in our own careers and lives. The scale might be different, sure, but that internal battle of resilience, it's exactly the same.
And really understanding that universal struggle adds such a fascinating layer to who he is off the pitch. Instead of becoming hardened or bitter by all that endless criticism and those painful injuries, Neymar has actively used his immense success and his platform for good. Through his foundation in Brazil, he channels his resources to support charitable causes and help underprivileged children. He is taking the fruits of his own resilience and actively using them to give the next generation a way better starting point than those simple, rough pitches he had to grow up on.
So the crucial point here is that true success in Neymar's journey is not just about winning those shiny trophies we talked about at the very beginning. It's about overcoming obstacles, it's about believing in yourself during those difficult times, and continuing to chase your dreams despite the criticism and the setbacks. That is his true legacy. It's a legacy defined by an incredible passion for the beautiful game, unyielding determination, and a remarkable, almost stubborn capacity to simply keep going when absolutely everything tells you to stop.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway for you, the viewer. We've seen how this incredible athlete navigated immense pressure, physical breakdowns, and just relentless public scrutiny. But remember, this isn't just about football. When the world focuses strictly on your trophies, how will you build your own resilience? When you face your own personal obstacles, when you are misunderstood or knocked down in your own life, how are you going to write your own story of determination? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep pushing forward, and I'll see you next time.